Hey, I'm A.T. Sharma, and I'm the writer and director of Hypnotica.
Hi, my name is Adam Johnson. I play Oliver Reese in Hypnotica, and you're watching Kings of Horror.
Hypnotica is a movie about a man who's really troubled, who's going through an incredibly difficult time.
Hypnotica is about Oliver Reese, the man who has all these struggles in his life, his emotional trauma going on right now. He can't sleep, he can't function properly.
And as a last resort, his psychiatrist tries hypnotism.
So he seeks his therapist out to try to figure out what's going on. And they decide to start diving in with some hypnotherapy, and they start to have some results that they were not expecting.
And it leads them to places that they never could have imagined.
Let's see, how did I get into acting and filmmaking? Well, I was the third of 7 kids, and there was chaos in my house. So I was kind of an observer. I was very quiet, and I was very shy, and I had no interest in like being a performer. Other than my mom and dad made us dress up and sing. So when we were little, we'd perform with little canes and little styrofoam hats and everything. It was pretty charming, if I do say so myself. Anyway, I was very quiet, but in my senior year, I started, coming out of my shell, and I decided I want to do stand-up comedy. So my brother told me that if you want to be a comic, you got to move to LA because all comics want their own TV show. So I believed in.
I got involved in filmmaking when I was in medical school. I always wanted to do something that was more uniquely expressive to me, and I loved writing and storytelling, and of course I've always loved films. And so when I heard that my girlfriend's girlfriend was going to Concordia Film School in Canada, I thought, man, that's it. I mean, I can do that. I can learn about films and make movies, maybe, hopefully.
And I moved down to LA. And then he told me, well, you got to take an acting class. So I thought, okay, well, whatever. And in this acting class, they made us do improv. Well, you might think to yourself, that's how he started acting, through the love of improv. You'd be wrong, because I absolutely hated it. I was out of my comfort zone. I was embarrassed. I was beet red, I'm sure. At least I felt it, like sweating, profusely, and just did not like it. And then they made us do the second part of the class was to do a cold read. You get a scene, you look over it for like 10 minutes, and then you perform it. Horrible. Same thing. Embarrassed, just out of my comfort zone. So I thought to myself, it was good to do that because now I know that's not what I want to do. Simple, eliminating the things you don't want to do in life, right?
And so then after I graduated medical school, I started working in the emergency room in downtown Toronto, and I took a sabbatical and went to NYU and studied film there. And then I came back to Toronto. I started back in the emergency room, and I started making short films and went from there.
Well, so several months go by, my brother talks me into going back to class to get out of my comfort zone. He's like, if you're going to be a comedian, you got to get out of your comfort zone. I'm like, dang it, he's probably right. It's good to go. So I went, and again, they made us do improv and then the scene study. But for some reason, everything just like clicked. I don't know if I just, whatever, had a different attitude on it, but like, it was suddenly really fun. I loved it. I fell in love with improv that day. I started studying, I studied with the Groundlings a little bit, and then I moved on and I still do a lot of improv today. And just fell in love with mostly comedy and finding the comedy on the page. And finding out, where the jokes lie in there. I just found it so fun and rewarding, and like, hey, you get some laughs. It's like, oh, you get that feedback, you get that buzz. That's pretty much kind of how I got hooked on that one.
Hypnotica came about from a movie I saw years ago about Sigmund Freud, and he was hypnotizing a patient. And it was just an actor playing Sigmund Freud and the patient. And I was so fascinated because it was this weird thing where they were going back into this person's mind and their memories, and it was scary and it was exciting, and it was like, what's in there and what's in any of us? And so that was the original genesis of the movie.
The way I got involved with Hypnotica was through a friend of mine who was a producer on Hypnotica named Neto. I met him doing a commercial in Utah some years back, and we just stayed in contact. He had me act in one of his films he did that he was putting together, and then he knew Adol and made the introduction to Adol, and Adol thought that I looked like the right type. He was working on this other movie that he has in the works first, and then this movie came up, and he sent me the script. I'm like, let's do it, man. It sounds fun. I jump at the chance to do anything that's fun, and this certainly looked like a challenge. It was something that I'd never done before by any means. This character is very different from me.
And of course, there was a lot of stuff and research that I did in terms of reincarnation and past lives, and the work of Ian Stevenson at the University of Virginia, and the articles that have been published in the Journal of American Medical Association, a lot of other reputable journals, where lead scholars have said there's no way to explain the findings of these patients that have such incredible recall about periods in the past that they have no exposure whatsoever to in detail.
And you know, I mean, as an actor too, you want to stay working all the time, right? So I'm like, this is great, man. I'll take this chance. I like to jump at the opportunities, because you always learn, no matter how big or small the project is. So if I can, I like to do whatever comes my way. Sometimes, you can't do everything, but that's how I became involved in. And Adol and I hit it off. He liked my style, and I liked his, and that's how we came together. Oliver Reese is a very different character than me. He's very intense. He's unhinged, or that was the old title of the movie. That was a joke for people that knew the movie before, so probably none of you. Right about now you're going, oh, you used to do stand-up comedy? Yes. Did I say I was good at it? I was pretty good at it. But very different from Reese. So Reese is very intense and just a foul mouth, just big, larger than life character, very intimidating. Whereas me, I'm actually very laid back. I was given the nickname Human Weed not because of I'm not Snoop Dogg or anything. It's because, I just have this ability, I've been told, to make people chill out and just relax and have fun. On various jobs that I've done, I have a friend who is a production designer, and before she was my friend, she hired me to help her, and everybody said how intense she was, and just a hard worker, and she'd push you till you cry and all this stuff.
Well, I'm the writer-director, so, that's how I related to it. I related to it as a physician, being a doctor and having a familiarity with psychiatry, having studied, psychoanalysis and all these things helped me to be able to write the movie.
And so I said, yeah, sure, whatever, I can work. I'm not afraid of work. So I got paired up with her, and everybody else stayed back doing all this other work, and I was going to go do the heavy, moving furniture and things like that. So we come back a couple hours later, and they're sweating, just painting this place and working so hard. And Ann and I walk in with a couple of milkshakes just to join ourselves. We're like, hey, what's going on in here? And I looked at her, and they're like, Ann, what happened to you? And she goes, I don't know. He's like human weed. Anyway, so that's how I answer the question of how different am I personally from Oliver. But how am I similar is, I'm still human. I still have frustrations and things that upset me and things that I get upset at. So, you know, I find those similarities, right? I mean, we all have those things in there. So you tap into those, and then you tap into some, you know, it always goes, it depends on what emotions are happening in the scene. You tap on it. There's a lot of tapping is what I'm getting at. Just a lot of tapping nonstop. And that, is, my friends, is the secret how I tap in to Oliver Reese. My most memorable story from the film was actually, you know, it wasn't anything really that had to do with the movie. It was where we were shooting. There are some very creepy elements that I don't want to go into that for ruining the movie or anything, but once you see it, you'll know what I'm talking about. And so, you know, you kind of get close to these kind of, you know, let's say weird things. And I was told that in one of our scenes that there was, you could see, well, let's see, let me preface this by saying, we were talking to the owner and he was telling us all these different kind of ghost stories and things that people have felt or seen in the house, right? And I'm like, I love the idea of like seeing a ghost or like, you know, any of the, you know, spirits or something like that. Like the idea of seeing like something like that sounds so cool. Until you're at the place and you're alone and it's dark. It's a very different experience than just sitting with your buddies talking about ghosts.
Memorable, there's a few, and they're all similar. But the most memorable is we were doing this scene, and the lead actor says in Latin, "Ego adsum," which means I am here. And so for that, we had a light rig where the light switch was supposed to go on and off, and there's a person that operated that. So we shot the scene, and it was fantastic. The light went off perfectly as it was supposed to, and then it came on and everything, and I couldn't believe how good it was. So I turned to the guy and I said, "Man, you nailed it." The only thing was the guy had gone to the bathroom. He wasn't there when we shot the scene, and it was like, how in the hell? I mean, he didn't know we were still shooting, and it was like, how in the hell did the lights go on and off by themselves? And that wasn't the only thing that happened during the shooting of the movie. There's a few things. There was a face in the curtain that you could see in the monitor clearly, and I showed the person next to me, and they were like, that is so creepy. And there's a few things like that still, and I'm a cynical guy, that still gives me kind of a chill up my back or whatever. It was weird, definitely strange, and I don't have an explanation for it.
Also, it was very real. So he was telling us about all these different experiences. And apparently, while we were shooting one of our scenes, some of the crew members said they could see like an image in the window of like some human figure. So just the whole vibe was very surreal and was very creepy, to say the least. I don't know if you can see the movie. Try to see if you can see any images of the people in the back in the window during my hypnosis scenes. Little Easter egg for you guys.
Oh, and one more thing. I think the ending of this movie is really going to surprise you.